Hey guys, welcome back. This is Jack, and this is going to be a pretty exciting video. This is a video that I knew that we were going to end up making pretty early on here once we reestablished the websites and the brand, and we're out there now and starting to push and let the world that for the first time know that we are opening the curtain, so to speak, on a subject that not a lot of people talk about in mainstream social media, which is making money and having more fun in the casino. So, whether you are a person that takes a cruise once a year, or goes to Vegas occasionally, or has a brick and mortar casino in their own hometown, which now we know casinos are popping up in states that never had gambling, like Virginia. So there's tons more places to play casino games. So this YouTube channel, as well as what I'm going to show you, is for everybody. Whether you're a once in a while slot player on a cruise, or you go to the casinos in your hometown and have a great time just on the weekends, or whether you're somebody that takes it a little bit more seriously like we do, and wants to turn their small skill set into a much larger skill set and possibly generate income on a consistent basis, and maybe, like we do, make this into an income generator or a paycheck generator, part-time or full-time. All right, so let's get into the video. So here we go. So we have two websites. This website is our general website. This is for people that take cruises and want to get more information on having more fun, getting free tips and tricks on playing in the casino on their next cruise. So this is cruisecasinoadvisor.com, completely free website. If you come here, you want to click anywhere you click, either here or here. You can put in your email address, and you can basically get free information. And also we do a tremendous amount of free contests and giveaways. And by the way, for our slot players over here, if you click on this and put in your email address, you're not only registered for the free newsletter, but you can get a really fun PDF to download for free that gives you some slot machine tips for our slot players. So there's casino game tutorials here, which are also up on our YouTube channel. And anytime you see anything like this is going to go to our second website for those people that really want to take it seriously. And that second website, before we get into the video, is this. This is cruisecasinomafia.com. So right now we're running a huge special. So normally this is going to be it's going to be $1,000 for the membership fee to join this. And believe it or not, $1,000 is still a massive discount on the information you're getting as a member. Right now we're doing a huge discount. If you're still watching this, I hope that you're watching it closer to the time that we're still running it. Fortunately, if not, there's not much I can do for you. We're running a special to celebrate our new website at $3.99 lifetime membership. And at $3.99, you are getting all of our private systems that we're using on a daily basis in roulette, baccarat, craps, or blackjack. This is including some other stuff as well that I can't mention publicly that will dramatically change your ability to make money in the casino. Okay, all of that is included for the $3.99 membership lifetime, and we're constantly adding new content, documents, systems after we play with them live, and after we do a tremendous amount of computer simulations and understand everything. We beat up these systems left and right before we introduce them to you, because we use them on a daily basis as well. We're doing this for ourselves, and we take it very seriously, and then we put it up in the membership area for you to see. So once again, here's the $3.99. It's going to go back up to $1,000. Unfortunately, it may already be there by the time that you're seeing this video. This is pocket change. You will be able to make this money back if you follow the rules and follow the system. Any of the systems that are in here, you don't have to learn all the systems. You have to figure out which ones are best for you. All right. So with that being said, let's go back here for a minute to our free website, the Cruise Casino Advisor, and we put up articles here on a regular basis. So weeks ago, we put up this article in regards to the Martingale, and we called it the Russian roulette of gambling. Well, first, let's explain what the Martingale is, and hopefully you can come through here and you should be able to read this article. Okay, read this article and understand it. So let's talk a little bit about this article. So this article, everybody that usually gets involved in some level of gaming or gambling will read about this magical way of making money. And it's called the Martingale system, and it is the gambler's fallacy. So basically what the Martingale is in a nutshell, if you haven't read the article, is you're essentially doubling your bets every time you lose. And the thought process behind doing that is that let's use roulette for purposes of this discussion. So in roulette we have even money bets, right? We have red, black, even, odd. And let's just use red, black. So you walk up to the roulette table and you see that there's been 3 black numbers in a row. And you decide, well, there's no way that there's another black number coming out. Well, that's your first mistake, okay? Each bet is independent. These are 50-50 bets, slightly less than 50-50. So we have no idea. Is it more likely that you won't see 15 reds in a row than seeing 2 reds in a row? Yes, if you look at higher level math and sequencing math and things of that nature. But the purposes of this video is to talk about our gambling progression. So people that do Martingale decide that, well, it can't continue forever, and they double their bets until they get exactly what they're looking for, which is that red number. All right. Or in blackjack, they do the same thing. They lose, they double, they lose, they double, they lose, they double, they win. And everybody looks at them and says, wow, what a genius. Look at the money you made. And the problem is, it is Russian roulette. So here's the issues with the Martingale. And you can read over more of the history of the Martingale and everything else in the article on cruisecasinoadvisor.com. The problem with Martingale is very simple. The reason that we call it the Russian roulette is it works until it doesn't. You keep spinning the chamber, and eventually your luck runs out. And the Martingale no longer works because you've gone up the food chain 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 times, and it still is the black number. Okay, so it is a death knell eventually. Some people swear by it because for quite a while it can work. You can double your bets and you can win and win and win until you lose. So we don't use Martingale progressions. Extremely rare in any of the systems in cruisecasinomafia.com do we use straight Martingale. Occasionally there are reasons for doing it, but it's because we have a limited number of progressions we're willing to go. But that's for a whole different discussion. So the beauty of what we're going to show you now is most people don't know this. And it's something that we teach in our money management documents in the back end of the Mafia site. Okay, but it's so important for the masses to have a better thought process, a better way of managing their money when they're in the casino, that I felt right from the beginning that this was going to be something that I'd have to give out and not hold back strictly to members. And that's what we're doing finally today. So here's the deal. What I'm going to teach you is 2 methods that you can still do a Martingale if you want to. Now, you're going to learn if you join the Mafia site 15 different money management progressions that are way, way better than the Martingale. But if you want to use Martingale, I'm going to show you how to do it in a better way. All right, so let's get into this. Let's pull up our document. Okay, So first of all, let's talk about the negatives to the Martingale. Well, the negatives to the Martingale are what I just said. Number one is that eventually you will lose and the Martingale will just continue to go higher and higher and you will be done. So how does that happen? Well, there's a few other negatives that we need to talk about. Number one, bankroll. Okay. If you're doubling your bet after every loss, you have to have a massive bankroll, right? Or you're going to double and double and double to the point where your bankroll is no longer in existence and you've just bankrupted your bankroll. Okay. And that is the Russian roulette element. But there's a few other elements that are a problem with the Martingale. The first one is a bigger bankroll. Second one is it doesn't work long term, right? And the third thing is a very sneaky way that the casino fights against the Martingale. So when you go to any casino, whether it's online, cruise, or brick and mortar in Vegas, whatever, you will see that there's table minimums and maximums. And the table maximum is what we want to talk about. The table maximum says, let's say it's, and I'm just making this up, let's say it's a $10 minimum to a $2,000 maximum. Well, if you double and double and double whatever your bet is, your original base bet, eventually you're going to knock up against the table maximum and you're done. Okay? Do you understand that? That if you double and double and double, eventually you will get to the point where you cannot make your next bet. So that's how the casino fights against the infinite Martingale. Okay, the infinite Martingale. And the other problem I would say to you is this, is that, and this is kind of an advanced thought process, but I hope that everybody takes something away from this. Martingaling and any progression, no matter what progression, even the progressions that we teach, okay, they're not supposed to make you money. The reason that we have any type of progression or any type of money management technique or method is for recovery purposes. Recovery. So understand what I'm saying is there's a big difference between trying to force a profitable situation during a bad time in your session. You're trying to force a profit as opposed to simply recovering and staying as close to break even as possible. Let me say that again. The right type of recovery methods for any type of gaming, gambling, Wall Street, anything, trading, anything that you're doing is not, it should not be to constantly bring you into profit. It is supposed to keep you closer to break even. So these are recovery methods when they're done correctly, okay? Because when we win, it's easy to win. But what happens when we lose a bet or a series of bets is where most people get out of control, and that's where they become a loser. That's where the 99% of the people that walk into the casino are losers. You want as many opportunities during your gaming session to make a first-time bet. Do you understand what I'm saying? A first-time bet. The amount of times that you're at break even during your session and then make another first bet means that you are now at the point where you have a chance to make profit. So you do not need to try to force profit during a losing portion of your session. You want to remain as close to zero as possible. So let me give you a quick example. Then we're going to go into the little tips that I'm going to give you. So we always start here, right, at zero, your first bet, right? This is where we want to be as many times as we can during our gaming session. Because from zero, we either win, right? We either win one or we lose one, right? That's where we want to be. This is where we make our money here. We're not trying to make our money after losing 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. This is the standard. This is what people do when they martingale. And the reason they're doing this is because they're not just trying to stay close to the zero, they're trying to make money every single way. And that is not the way to do it. You want it to be closer to this. You lost one. You lost another one. You lost another one. You lost another one, and you lost another one. Okay, so look how many losses I had in a row, but I'm still only 2 units away from back here at 0 where I can make money. Okay, that is the type of recovery that you want, because eventually you need to be here when it swings back in your favor, right? You're not here at break even if you're making monster bets to get back to 0. Everything is a wave, right? Our systems work, our systems get choppy, our systems work, our systems get choppy. You are looking to make money as many times as you can by having as many first bet opportunities as possible, which is this, not at minus 16, at minus 20, at minus 32. So that's why our systems are closed. So for those that do still want to play Martingale, okay, and I know there's plenty of fans of the Martingale method. Now, I'm going to explain to you something before we get started here. There are different versions of Martingale. Some of them are the general Martingale, which is doubling, 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 doubling. And then there's other versions you can find on the internet that are the grand Martingale, which is even more crazy, right? So that's a 1 unit, a 3 unit, a 7 unit, a 15 unit, and a 31 unit. So if you have 5 bets in a row and you lose all 5, you lost 57 units total in this sequence. Okay? So there are different versions, and then there's slower versions of the Martingale, which are a little bit better because they extend the Martingale. So the one I have written down here extends the Martingale a little bit because you have 2 20s, okay, and 2 75s. It's still pretty steep. And there's other versions of this as well, okay? So here's one that's a 5, 12, 25, 55. You're at $100 here. So that's the deal. So you can look up on the internet different versions of the Martingale. That is not what the video is about. What the video is about is to explain to you how the Martingale 2.0 that we use, if we're going to do a Martingale, if we're ever going to do a Martingale, this is the only type of Martingale that we will do. So let me show you the first method. So remember what I explained is that the steep progression is one of the biggest problems, right? The 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, that is the biggest problem. And the problem is usually they come in runs, right? When we have losses sometimes, it's not win, loss, win, win, loss. We're not worried about that. We're worried about win, loss, 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 win. That's the killer when it comes to the Martingale, right? That's the killer. Well, we have a method of breaking up and stopping the bleeding, okay? It's not the Holy Grail. There's no such thing when it comes to a money management. But this slows up the dramatic curve going down the tubes when you're making all of those progressions in a row. And this is how it works. So this is a grid. You can take a snapshot of this and you can recreate this if you want on an Excel spreadsheet and have these printed out as a scorecard. We provide these as well to members. So we have custom scorecards for almost every progressions that we use or any money management that we use. We provide those with our systems most of the time. So here you go. So let's just assume, and it doesn't matter whether we're playing roulette or blackjack or anything else. So it makes no difference. The progression is the progression. So let's show you what happens. This is the Martingale grid. So our first bet would be $5, right? On whatever we're betting, red, black, blackjack, whatever. And let's say that we win. So we're going to do this. We're going to do a +5, And there's different ways of recording this. Now, what would normally happen is we would continue down this progression. So our next bet would be a 5, but if we lost here, it would then, the next bet would be a 10. If we lost, we'd go to 20. So watch what we do with the grid. So now our second bet is always going horizontal instead of vertical. That's part of the trick here. So our next hand in blackjack or spin of the roulette wheel, we lose. So we put a -5, all right? The next hand, we win, all right? We put a 5. Let's say we lose the next one. We win, we win, we win, we lose, we win. And by the way, this grid, normally we don't do a full 10. What I do is I use 5 or 6 horizontal. So I would cut it off here, right? I would do a 6-way horizontal grid, but this is the full grid at 10. So that's fine. And we'll say we win this hand too. So normally we would see these as a vertical, right? We won. We go back, we bet 5, we lost. Now we'd be betting 10. And we continue down this progression. But notice what we did here. We went straight across with our results. They were not in a direct line. They were not consecutive. So what we're doing is we're playing what I like to term mini games. So we're taking all the results as we're playing them, and instead of playing them in a direct line, we are putting them across the page, and these are becoming mini game columns. And what you're going to see and what this does is it smooths out the curve of the horrible progression. Because now if we did have 3 losses in a row, you can notice that we never progressed, did we? Now here we only had one loss, a win, and a loss. But what if these 3 were losses in a row? We would have already been betting over here, right? We would have been betting over here. So basically, we have spread out the results so that if we have that mini losing streak in a row, it didn't even affect us here. We were still betting on our first progression 5 all the way across. Now, when we get to the end of our grid, whether that's 5 or whether that's 10, we restart on the left side, right? We just start right back here. Well, take a look at what happened in column 1, mini game 1. We had a win in our first shot. So we're just going to erase this, right? If you're doing this in the live casino, you can write it in pencil, whatever you want to do. And now we're making another $5 bet. And let's say we won that bet as well, okay? So we're just going to put the 5 so we know what happened in column 1. We don't have to go lower. We just erase it and put it here. Now, when we get to mini game number 2, we had a loss here last time. So we are going to make the progression now. So after all this is the first time we're even making a second level progression. So now over here in column 2, row 2, we're going to make our $10 bet and we win. So that ends up being another +5, right? We wiped out our $5 loss and we turned it into a $5 gain by making the 10. Okay, let's not make this complicated, guys. Let's not make it complicated. So now we won in column 3. We're going to make another $5 bet because we're on the same progression. And let's just say we win. Here in column 4, mini game 4, we had a -5. So we need to make our second level progression 10 and we lose. Okay, we lose. So we're going to put -10, but it's not a problem. It's not a problem. It's not a big deal right now. And we're going to move on. Whoops. That's my mistake. I always do that. So let's just put a 10 here. But we know it's a negative, right? Because it's still there. We know it's a negative. I don't know if I can get the negative to work. No, I can't get the negative to work. Okay, so let's just leave that there. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so now our next result, under column 5, we had a win at 5. Let's say we have a win again. We're going to just do our $5 bet. That stays there. But let's say over here in column 6, we won our first row bet, but now we're going to lose. So we're going to have that $10 again, right? $10 loss. We're going to move to column 7, and we won again. So we're just going to leave the 5 there. Here we had a -5. We bet 10 here, right? We're on our second level progression and we win. So this turns into a +5, okay? This, we had a 5. This turns into a -5, right? Because we bet 10. We bet our second level progression because this was a loser. And this is going to lose also. All right? So that's going to be a loser. And I think I accidentally, now I don't remember. But let's just, I think this was a negative. Doesn't matter. For our purposes, it's a negative. Oh, come on. Okay. Just put a 5 there. We'll know it's a negative. And this one is going to be a -10. Okay? All right. And this last one was a 5. We bet our 5 first level progression again, and we win. So now here we go again. We're back over to column 1. All right. Column 1 doesn't have anything below here. There's no reason to go into progression. We win again. Mini game number 2. We win again. All right. Mini game number 3. We win again. Mini game number 4. Okay. So let's take a look at this. Let's say that this time we have to do our next progression, right? Because we've had 2 losses in a row. We have to bet our 20 here, right? So we bet our 20 here, okay, and we win. And if you take a look at this and the 20, that means that we can erase this and we can make this a +5 now. So that was now a win. This 5, maybe this time we bet our 5 again and we lose. Okay, so now it's a 10. So do you understand what's happening? So what happens is by spreading these out and playing mini games, instead of taking losses in a row, we are limiting how deep we go into the progressions most of the time. Now, you're still going to have columns that just happen to work out where that one just happens to get the losses and the other mini games aren't getting as many losses. And I'll explain to you how that works in a minute. So do you understand the way that the mechanics work? We're spreading out our results over 5 or 10 different mini games, which slows up that dramatic steep drop off, the death knell of the Martingale. Okay. It also slows up the progression of the size of the bets we're making. So for most systems and most players, this is going to limit the size of your bankroll many times because you're not having to make these gigantic bets that you possibly were making before. Now, let's go a step further here. So what I did not show you here is normally we have another column here. So what happens is we're always interested in capturing profits. It's not about where you are here right now, where you are here. Always take the win. Always take the win and lock it up. So you would have a column here, or you can write it on your piece of paper. So we had multiple wins here, right? Multiple wins here. And we would just be locking those up as a 5, a 5, a 5, a 5, a 5, a 5, a 5. So we always know what our captured profits are. So if this is the amount, and I have no idea, if this is the amount of 5s, we would already be up $35 here, or 7 units, right? 7 units. We like to capture our profits. These are captured profits. We're not looking at everything overall. We're taking our wins. We're taking our wins. We're taking our wins. And the reason I'm showing you this is because sometimes this will go on and you'll play a session. Let's say you're playing for a half an hour, 45 minutes, and this ends up being, let's say it's $175 for argument's sake. And remember, this works with any unit. I'm using $5 units just for the purposes of this. But let's say after 45 minutes, you're up, you're up 100, let's make it even. Let's say you're up $200, okay? And these columns are basically where they're at right now. They're ebbing and flowing, right? Ebbing and flowing. But sometimes there's one problem mini game, right? So this problem mini game, went to the -20 right now, right? And maybe it even went to the second 20, the way that this progression here is working at the moment, right? So, but the rest of them are fairly under control. Okay, let's say that we close this one out. Let's say that we close this one out. So this is the only one at the moment that's getting a little deeper. Well, this is flexible, this grid. So when you look at this, you can add these up and say, well, what did you lose? What are you down right now? You're down 40, you're down 50, you're down $55. Well, let me give you a little bit of an option as to what you can do. If you're in the zone for what you are looking to make for this 1 hour session, okay, and $200 on $5 base bets is amazing. All right, $100, we tell people to take profits and run on most of the systems. So if you're playing $5 bets and you're up $200, there is nothing wrong with calling this session over and having another session later on in the day or whenever that may be. This is a hell of a return on $5. Okay, start thinking of it as rate of return. Where do you play $5 base bets? Who gives you $200 back in 45 minutes when you're using $5 chips? You see what I'm saying? So start looking at this as real money and not play chips. All right, this isn't the game of Risk or Monopoly, it's real money for us. So when you look at this, all right, you're down right now. Let's see, these are all back at even. There's not any negative column. There's no negative column at the moment. So that's 65. Well, even if we want to close this down right now, look how much money we would make if we just stop the bleeding here. If we wanted to stop the bleeding, 200 minus 65 and we call it quits, right? Or you take a break and you just close out this column and continue playing the other columns. This column is finished. This column is closed for business. So take your minus 65 and continue to play on. So that is the basic strategy of the Martingale Grid 2.0. Okay, that's the Martingale Grid. Very easy to understand. Always use this in simulation and test it out, whether it's with blackjack or roulette or whatever you want to do. Like I said, you can use 5, you can use 10, make the grid any which way you want. You can use any betting progression that you want here. This works with any betting progression that is normally a doubler or whatever you may call it, any type of Martingale, whatever it is. So this is the way to make the Martingale at least livable, okay, livable. If you don't understand, you can ask questions in the comments section, but this is the grid format for Martingale. Now, let me show you the secondary method of helping if you're going to use a Martingale. So let's go ahead and do a straight Martingale here. We'll just make it easier, right? 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, and 32. We don't have to go any farther than that. Okay, that's a straight doubling up Martingale, right? Doesn't get any worse than this. Okay. Well, no one says that you have to keep doubling and doubling. And this is pretty amazing. Let's say that the maximum that you ever want to go to, and let's use the 8 for now. Normally you go to the 16, but you can do this anywhere. Now, you're not going to do what I'm going to show you at the 1, 2, or 4 level, because why are you playing this type of progression in the first place if you're going to do what I'm going to show you? You have to give your progression some type of breathing room if this is your type of way of, if this is your recovery method. And like I said, we don't use these type of recovery methods that often. But let's say that it's a system that we do want to use something like this, or something like I showed you that's even more aggressive. The 1, 3, 7, 14, and 30, 15. What did I do here? 1, 3, 7, 15, 31. 15, that's a grand Martingale. Okay, that's basically like a grand Martingale. All right, which is even more steep than this, because you're going 5 levels deep. You're at 31. You're going 5 levels deep here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're only at 16. This is really scary. Okay, because it's trying to make more money on each level. So let's use the regular Martingale for now. So let's say that we get really scared when we lose this bet. This fourth level bet, which is the 8, that's where it starts to get real hairy for us. So watch this. This is what we do. So let's just do this with the numbers as they are. Obviously, you're gonna times this by your base bet. You know, $10, $20, $40, $80. Okay. So let's just use the 1, 2, 4, 8, and you can always, do your math later. So let's say that we make the decision that when we get to this level, the 8th level bet, we don't want to go any further than this. We don't want to have the bankroll for 16, 32, 64, right? We want to stop right here, stop the bleeding. Well, if we stop here, we lose, right? If we hit our fourth level progression and we stop, we lost this money. And that's obviously perfectly fine if that's what you're doing and then you have a stop loss. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm going to show you a different method though. So we make this bet and we lose. We make our second level bet and we lose. We make our fourth level bet and we lose. And now we make our last bet of 8 and we lose. Pretty frustrating, but it happens. That's what happens in roulette, in blackjack, in gaming, in Wall Street. It happens in sports betting. It doesn't matter. So, and it happens to every system. You have to be prepared. Even our systems, we can have 4 losses in a row. So we have to have a recovery method for that. So if you're going to use the Martingale, this is what you do. Okay. This is the other way of handling the Martingale outside of the grid. All right. And by the way, you can combine what I'm showing you with the grid as well. And that's even more powerful. So here you go. We lost this bet, the 8. Instead of going to the 16, we're going to use our secondary recovery method. Secondary, this is your normal money management recovery. Now we're going to do our hedge recovery method. Hedge recovery method. So we lost here in our normal method, and now our next bet, we're only going to go up by $1. $1. So our next bet is not 16, it's 9. And we lose. And our next bet is only going up by 1 unit, $1, and we lose. Then we go up to 11 and we win. Well, when we win, we drop down the ladder of the hedge bets and we go back to 10. So the next bet goes down 1 unit, the $1, and we win. And we go down 1 more to the 9, right? We're going down 1. And at the 9, we win. And this takes us back to what? Back to our standard number, our standard Martingale progression of 8. So now we are making our regular bet of 8. And we win. And of course, that takes us back to the 1. Because when you win in the Martingale, you're going back to your first bet. So what did this accomplish? What this accomplished was it slowed up the death knell of the Martingale. Okay, so let's do one that's a little bit longer just to show you more of the up and down of the ladder. So this one, the same thing. We got to our 8. We did 9 and we lost. We did 10 and we lost. We did 11 and we lost. We did 12 and we lost. Do you know how far you would be down the Martingale right now? How much money you would need to be betting here, continuing the Martingale? It's crazy. So in our hedge betting, we lost 3 times in a row. Let's make it a 4th time. And now we finally win at our 13 bet. And it takes us back to the 12. Right? But we lose the next bet, which is at 11, right? At 11, we go down the chain. We lose. Look how many bets we have now and where we would be in the Martingale. Now, you can argue with me that the Martingale would have won here. You'd be back to 1. But that is taking the risk of how far down the Martingale you're going. Okay? So now we're down to 10 and we win. Okay? And we're going to do this by only going up $1 and down $1 on top of where we were before, right? Until we get back to the standard martingale bet, which is the 8. So we go back and forth. It's choppy. So we're riding out the choppy losing streaks to get back to 8, back to our regular bet. And when we win at the 8, we're all the way back to our base bet, and we survived all the choppiness. The power of this method is incredible. I learned this years ago, and it is one of the ultimate lessons that you can possibly learn. Now, I don't use the martingale very much, right? We have our own betting progressions, different betting, but there are some things that this does work better for. Some type of a straight progression. Not many, but some of them do. So you do need to have something in your toolbox, and this hedge method is the way to do it. Now, you may ask, do the casinos allow you to do this? I have not played in any casinos. We just got back from Vegas yesterday. They will all allow me to do this. So if the minimum bet is $10, I can put another dollar on top. I can put another dollar on top. I have no issue with this. Online casinos will let you do anything you want, so that you can go down to $1 bets. There isn't even high minimums. And the cruises have never caused an issue either. So if your minimum bet is 5, so it's 5 times 8, and then you have to go on to the next, you drop $1 on it. No one has ever caused an issue with this. I have not had any problems with this hedge method. This hedge method is brilliant because it avoids the horribleness of this, right? Of this crazy amount of bankroll that you need. So that's how it works. And most of the time, you're only going a few deep before you get a win because you're chopping back and forth. You're not normally going to have 7 in a row losers here unless you have a horrible system that you're using, unfortunately. Normally, you're going to get a win and 2 losses and 2 wins and a win and a loss. And you're going to chop along until you're back in your winning streak and you put them, a few back together and you get back to the 8 and you win. Well, if you lose again on the 8, well, you're back in the hedge again, right? You're back in the hedge. You're going to 9 and you're moving through the hedge. And that is the second tip of the day. That's the martingale hedge. And this is the martingale grid. So I will leave you. The video is already 42 minutes long. Take a picture of this. Take a picture of this. Take notes. And then, if you want to get real creative, you combine the two and basically you change these bets to match. And I don't know whatever progression you want to use, but you will automatically match that progression. So let's say it's at the 20, the second 20 here that you decided that was the end. Well, then here you're at 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, whatever. You understand, you're cutting it off. So you can combine both methods, and now you have improved the standard garbage martingale by, if I say 800 to 1 difference, 800% better, I'm basically being conservative. That is our version of the improved martingale. So with that being said, I will leave you there. I hope that you guys learned something. Even you casual players should be able to get something out of this for your next cruise or vacation or the next time you visit your local casino. And that's it for today. I hope that was enough powerful information for you. If you want to take your game to another level and learn how we turn casinos into our own personal ATM, visit cruisecasinomafia.com. Hopefully you get there before our normal membership goes up. cruisecasinomafia.com. We're always running contests and things as well. Check it out. Go to cruisecasinoadvisor.com for free articles, information, contests, and you definitely want to join our free newsletter where you're going to get more tips just like this. That's it, guys. We will see you on the next video. Lots of great stuff coming from this channel. Click the subscribe button, click like on the video to help us get more people to be able to watch it. Join us on Instagram to see how we're doing on a daily basis using our actual systems. We do updates from our trips. We do trip logs, cruise logs, and we'll let you know exactly how we're doing. Our Instagram site, our Instagram page is at Cruise Casino Advisor, at Cruise Casino Advisor. We will talk to you on the next one. Have a great day and make that money.